1. Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
All right, I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. We have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about why homes don't sell, why offers aren't accepted, and we're going to talk about outdoor living and throw in some stuff about why people can sometimes be a little bit mean.
Ooh,
in
my goodness.
estate.
That's going to be a good one. Yes, because we definitely live in a culture where people are not intimidated or afraid to be rude.
They're not, and it's a bummer because sometimes, like you have to work with these people or you have to go through a transaction with these people and they think short term.
Should we, Johnny, should we just start off there?
Okay,
let's do that.
We can do
so
that.
we're talking about your clients, your customers, could be your coworkers, could be your vendors, could be people you work with.
Yeah.
Shoot, it could be your neighbors. It could be your family members, people that maybe they have a certain personality, right? Where they just tend to be rude. That's their default attitude and personality.
And some cultures are more like that. They're more gruff. They're more abrupt. It's just different.
That's a great point.
And so we work with all types of people. And so you just run across the spectrum.
It's true. It's true. We here at the radio station, we deal with a lot of variety of different people, listeners, clients that, it's just, they don't mean to be rude. It's just what they know.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll find this, Johnny, and I don't know if you have seen this, but they feel like if I'm this way, they see it as being more just assertive. I got to get things done. And the way I get things done is I'm just a no nonsense person. I don't play around. I don't do the polite little cordial things. I say how it is. I don't hold back. And if you can't handle the truth, then I'm just sorry. That's not my problem.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know. Yeah. And they don't, but come on, a little honey goes a long way, right?
It's true.
Catch
it's
more
true.
flies.
Here's the problem though. A lot of times these tough and rough personalities, they could be your customers or they could be your clients or your coworkers. And so you have to figure out a way to manage that personality or at least deal with them to where you don't want them to go away, right?
Correct.
Because being in real estate, obviously, I'm sure you've had clients that have been a little bit challenging more than others.
Sure. I mean, it takes a village. There's many different types of people out there. Real quick story though. When I got started in real estate, it was just me. Like I was not doing it with Valerie. I wasn't
Your
working
wife, Valerie,
I wasn't working
right?
with my wife. Yeah. And I quickly realized, okay, I need some help with this. And so she started doing like the paperwork and the administrative type tasks, and I was working with the clients. And I quickly realized people like Valerie more than me, in many instances. And so she ended up developing her.
Why? Why did they like her more than you?
She's nicer. She's sweeter. She's very patient. She's very thorough and detailed. And I'm more like, hey, let's get this done. I want to work hard for you. Let's accomplish this goal. I'm very goal oriented, and she's more relationally oriented.
Sure.
And so she started developing her own book of business, and I started developing my own book of business, and it was completely separate. Like if you were working with Valerie, you didn't even know I was also in the industry. And then we said, hey, you know what? Let's combine and let's do this together. And then I was working more on like the administrative side and lead generation side and finding people for Valerie to work with and then teeing them up, and then she was working with them. But I never really saw how she was being treated in these by these clients.
Interesting.
And so recently with her having our second son, I've been now thrust back into dealing with a lot of the clients, seeing a lot of the emails, and tell you what, Matt, it is like if you were at a soccer game, right? Or a sports game and you see another kid picking on your kid. Like,
oh yeah,
that is,
I hear you.
Like that is not a good feeling. Like, okay, they got to figure it out. But at what point do you step in?
Right, because then that protective mode kicks in, and you're like, wait a second, hold on, this is my wife, right?
This is my wife. This isn't just another coworker.
Right.
This is my wife. And
so you're reading some of these emails, and you don't like the way they're coming off.
Reading some of the emails, hearing some of the phone conversations, even just hearing the stories. Valerie, what's going on with X or why? is this normal? Like, do they normally treat you like this? She's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, man, it's hard because one, we're here to help the clients. And you're right. Some people, they just come across a certain way and it's a cultural difference. Others, they're just straight up mean. But if we don't work with them, if we don't figure out a way to appease that customer, then we don't get paid. That's the thing about real estate is only once the customer gets what they want do you get paid. You can go to a doctor, and whether or not they make you better, they're still getting paid.
Right.
You're still getting a bill from them. You go to a restaurant, whether or not you like the food, like if it was on point, you're still paying, right? Unless you really, really complain. But with real estate, you have to get what you want in order for that agent to get paid. And so we have to sometimes go through these uncomfortable situations. And so what I've been finding with Valerie is that I don't know if people are just getting more mean or if I'm just getting more sensitive to it or I'm just becoming more aware. But they are like agents. Agents specifically are being very short and very, very abrupt with her. And very, I would, in some points, even cruel. And the problem is not unique to Valerie. What I've found is that if I get on a phone call with the same person, they're way nicer to me. But if it's my wife or if it's another female agent or another female staff member, I will say it seems to be very gender-based. Like there are certain cultures that are very masculine. In Asia, in Europe, in Latin America, in the Middle East, they're all very masculine. And so those cultures tend to treat women a little differently than maybe how I was raised to treat women. So the other cultures are treating women that way, and women are just mean to women. Like the whole cat fight thing. Like so the poor.
I feel like it's competition.
It's competition, and it's just the dynamic there is not friendly. So I think guys have it a whole lot easier in real estate, generally speaking, because of the cultural dynamics involved and just because of how men to women interactions typically go. But navigating this with Valerie is very hard because she wants to get paid. I want to get paid. We want to see this through to completion. We want everybody to be happy, but you can't please everybody. But at what point do I then have to step in and be like, hey, back off. Like, this is my wife. This is just a situation right now. We're going to work our way through this. And so it's just really hard to, it's an extra layer on the dynamics of, coworker relationships.
But I think that's why you have developed and put together a great team at Made for More Living, where you have different types of personalities and skill sets. Like your wife has one certain type of skill set that works with certain people. You have a different type of personality that works with other types of skill sets. So you've done a great job at Made for More Living in creating this team. And it's not just you and Valerie, it's other folks on your team.
Correct. Yeah.
Who are able to work, and you all work together to make sure that your clients and your vendors and even other agents are successful. And you have to do that. You know, even here at the radio station, we have different personalities. I'm a certain way. My coworker's a certain way.
Yeah.
But when we all come together and work as a team, we make sure that everyone's successful, because that's what you got to do. If you're doing it solo, it's tough because, you know, it's just the way the world is. Not everybody's going to like you. Yep. You know,
that's true. You do have to come together. You do have, like, we absolutely, that goes without saying. We have a team of almost 30 people, over 45 people that are like paid to work with us. We have a whole suite of staff members. And so there's a lot of different cultures, a lot of different personalities represented there. So we can service all of our clients. It's just when you're, Maybe when you're at the grocery store, be nicer to that teller, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
When you're interacting with your real estate agent, just realize, hey, be nicer to that person, because at the end of the day, like, a little bit of kindness goes a long way, and you end up getting more of what you want.
Sure.
When you're kinder to people.
And that's a recommendation that you give to even homeowners or folks out there looking to buy a home. It's about relationships, and that can go a long way, not just in creating peaceful, harmonious unity with our communities, but also to the bottom line. You know, that good, positive relationships and politeness, kindness will help you even just financially. It's going to get you more money for your home when you're nicer, when you're kinder, when you're trying to buy your home and you want to get a great deal. When you have that type of behavior, it's going to benefit you in the short term and in the long run.
You're 100% right. It really comes down to negotiating and how you're doing that. Are you being a bull in the china shop, or are you trying to get what you want, like attract the flies with the honey analogy?
Right.
And so that's actually something we're going to cover in the next segment, is why maybe your offers aren't getting accepted, why maybe you're being unsuccessful at selling your home. So a lot of that has to do with some strategy and some personality stuff that we'll cover in the next segment.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're talking with Johnny Jennings, Made for More Living. You can find more information at madeformoreliving.com, because you guys have a motto there at Made for More, which ties into all that we're talking about. Why did you come up with that name, Made for More?
Yeah, Made for More. So it comes back to, we believe everybody's made for more pleasant and profitable real estate transaction. That's the economic version of the name, and also we're a faith-based company, and so that is. I remember vividly walking out of church one day and hearing the term "Made for More," and I was like, Valerie, we should start a team and we should call it Made for More. She's like,
right.
Let's do that. So, anyways, when we come back, we'll be talking more about how you can get your offers accepted in today's market.
All right, real quick, and then we're going to get back to the show. If you're curious what kind of offers you would get on your home, or hey, maybe you want an all-cash offer, no matter what kind of condition your home is in, Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves Real Estate team can help. Just go to tomdaves.com, type in your address, and bam, right away, you're going to get that info. Again, it's tomdaves.com, or give Johnny Jennings a call at 855-TOM-DAVES.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Matt, do you know what a whoop is?
A whoop? Like, how do you spell it?
WHOOP.
Isn't that like some kind of inappropriate song that somebody came out with a while ago?
Whoop, there it is, that one? No, oh gosh.
Whoop, there it is.
You know, I remember my parents would make jokes.
There it is. Shakalaka, shakalaka.
Look, you don't know the words.
So now, really, what is a whoop?
No, wait, before we move on from this whoop, there it is thing.
Whoop,
like, I remember when my parents...
Who sang that song?
I have no idea.
It's from the 90s, right?
I'll take your word on it. You got more miles on the odometer than I do. But I remember when I was a kid, my parents would be saying things. I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so old. I think we're moving into that
direction.
that age where it's like, oh my gosh, the kids are like, you are so old. But no, but
I bet you most people listening don't know what a whoop is. It's probably something new, because you're all into gadgets and new technology.
I'm always trying.
If there's something coming out, you've got it. Is that what I'm looking at on your wrist?
Yeah. So
it's black. It looks like a watch with no face.
Correct. It's basically a band with a little device on the band, and so what it does, actually, real cool story. One of my friends in real estate, he's older than me. I think he's close to 60, and he went in for an annual checkup, and they're like, dude, you have type 2 diabetes. And he's like, what are you talking about?
As he's shoving down a donut?
Yeah, as he's eating a donut.
What are you talking about?
He skateboards, he snowboards.
Oh, wow.
He mountain bikes. Like, he's a very active guy, and he's like, what do you mean? And so, anyways, he's like, I'm going to fix this. I do not want to be on medication. And so one of the things he did to track his health was he got a Whoop. And what these things do is they track your stress, they track the sleep, the quality of your sleep, how much you're exercising, your respiratory rate. It's basically like the Apple Watch on steroids.
Okay.
And then you can create communities in there, and like, so he and I are on there, and our buddy JJ Mack is in there, and so we can compete against each other for who got the best sleep and stuff. But it's really interesting how accurate it is in terms of tracking your stress, like your stress level. So if you go through the day, it'll chart it for you.
That's
and
awesome.
You can be like, man, I was having a bad day at 2:00, and you can see, boom, on the Whoop.
Can it give you instant responses or instant data, so you know if you're feeling stressful right now? Maybe it vibrates or something and says, hey, you're feeling a little stressed right now. Maybe you need to go for a walk or calm down or take a deep breath.
I don't know if it does that.
That would be cool. That would help me, because then it does me no good if, like, later that night, I was stressed out. Well, yeah, I guess that would help me the next day. But anyways, so what's your point about this? Yeah, where are you trying to get? So
my point on what this all has to do with real estate is a lot of people get stressed out when their home isn't selling, and they're uncertain as to why. And so typically, if a home isn't selling, there's a number of things that you can go through this checklist and see.
Real quick question. Yeah. What is their expectation? Because usually the reason they're feeling stressed out is because it's not meeting their expectation of what they thought would happen.
Yeah.
So at what point in the process are they starting to feel stressed out?
It really depends on the person. So if they need a fast sale, then they're feeling that early on. If they're like, oh, if it sells, it sells, then they're probably getting frustrated later in the process, right? And so how we handle it is we show up, we give them a market analysis when we meet them for the first time. If the home's a little tricky, if there's some more details to it, then we will actually take photos and we will actually send it off to an appraiser, and we'll do what's called a desktop appraisal. And then we'll provide that to the client as well. So then that way they're like, hey, it's not just Johnny's opinion. This is also an appraiser, a local appraiser's opinion. And that gives them some clarity around the price. But sometimes people still think that their home's worth more, right? Every home is special. This is where you created memories. This is where you raised a family. You bought this house for some reason. Like, buying a home is no small purchase. And you decide to go out there and make that investment. And so when you go to sell that home, there's a lot of emotions tied up in it. And if your home isn't selling in the time frame that you thought it was going to sell for, or the offers aren't coming in at the price that you were wanting, there's stress around that. And so how we help with that is, one, we set the expectation about, hey, this is where the market is suggesting that you list your price or list your home. It's your house, your rules. You can do whatever you want, but this is where you should list it at. Typically, if a home isn't selling, either the marketing's not on point, the agent is not being responsive, or the seller is not being responsive in terms of letting people in the home. So if you only let somebody in the home on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 3 and 6, that's going to limit the amount of traffic you're getting in the home.
Right.
And then the last thing that nobody wants to hear, but is often the case, is price. If the home's not selling, and other homes in your neighborhood are selling, and they're selling at a lower price, well, then maybe you need to consider a price adjustment. I like to say it's real estate. It's not rocket science.
Right.
So you just go through the checklist. Hey, is the marketing working? Are people seeing the home? Is the home being shown? Is it available to be shown? Okay, great. Okay, then maybe it's the price.
Right. So if you're working with a client and they're frustrated that their home isn't selling in the first 2 weekends, and they don't understand, what's that conversation when they call you up and they say, hey, Johnny, I don't know what's going on. I thought my home would sell in the first 5 days. It's such a great house. There's no problems with it. I mean, I grew up in this house. I have so many memories here. And, of course, they have that sentimental connection with their home, right?
Correct.
That not everybody has when they go see the house. So how do you calm their nerves? Because like we were saying in the previous segment, it's about relationship, connection. How do you try to give them a little bit of peace of mind that, hey, because, I mean, almost 100% of the time that home is going to sell when they work with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you reassure them? How do you give them a peace of mind?
Well, hey, we've done this many, many times. Like, the company that I have has sold over 11,000 homes in the last 40 plus years. And so there's a lot of experience here. We're not wet behind the ears.
Right.
We didn't just get a real estate license and go to a weekend seminar. Okay?
Right.
And so we know what we're doing. So when somebody's getting nervous, there's often miscommunicated expectations. So what we'll hear sometimes is, hey, well, my neighbor down the street sold really fast and for this amount of money. And I'll look up the sale and it's like, okay, it was actually on the market for 45 days and it sold for way less than what you think it sold for.
Right, because they don't have all the info
they
do.
Yeah, the neighbor might have, the neighbor's moving out. Hey, I got great price on my home. He's all maybe a little skewing it a little bit more positive than what really went down. And so that, if we're able to correct that, then all of a sudden expectations have been reset to a realistic timeline.
Right.
And so typically what we'll do is, not typically, this is what we do religiously, is every single week we'll send out a written report about how many viewings the home had, how many times it's been viewed online, what the feedback has been, how the home's positioned in the market, and then we'll follow that up with a phone call every single week. So this isn't like the stock market where it changes minute by minute. A weekly update is more than enough. And so then we're also able to address questions at that time. So oftentimes, again, when sellers are feeling nervous or stressed, it's because of a lack of expectations being met, miscommunicated expectations, and lack of communication.
Okay.
Because you're like, I haven't heard from my realtor in 2 weeks. Why is my home not selling? Okay, that's unacceptable. But if you're having a weekly phone call, okay, here's what's happening in the market. Here's how our marketing's working. Here's the feedback we're getting. Then all of a sudden it's like, okay, and then by the way, the average days on market in your neighborhood is 35. We've only been on the market for 14 days. Okay, this is normal. This is less of a stressful situation than I'd made it out to be.
Okay, so I got my pen out. I got my paper. I want to go over it one more time before we end this segment. What are those keys again of why your home probably isn't selling? Let's go over those again.
Yep. First one would be the marketing. Like, what is the real estate agent doing?
So a lack of quality, good marketing.
Yeah.
And when you say marketing, explain that a little bit more.
So what the traditional realtor's plan, this is not what we do, by the way, but the traditional realtor's plan is it's called the 3 Ps. They put a sign in the yard, they put it in the MLS, and then they pray that the home sells. Right?
Hey, what's wrong with prayer?
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. But if that's all you're doing,
right,
then your marketing is not like effectively working.
So that's number one. Check with your real estate agent to make sure. Find out. Ask them, what are you doing to help market this home?
Do they have a digital marketing campaign? Do they have a buyer, a Bay Area buyer program where they're reaching out to Bay Area buyers? Do they have staff members who are actually like calling through the community and calling through that agent's database saying, hey, we have this great home that just came on? Like, are they calling people or are they passively waiting for their phone to ring?
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing?
Because you could have the best home in town, but if nobody knows about it, then it's just going to sit there.
Correct.
Right? Okay, what's number 2?
Number 2 is the condition of the home and the availability for it to be shown.
Explain that.
So if the home is never available to be shown, the less people that go through the home, the less interest, the less offers you'll get. So you want to make it as available as possible.
And what does that mean? What's a good amount of availability for a home to be open for people to visit and look at it?
So ideally, you want to have it very, very available on the weekends.
And ideally, you want it to be vacant, right? You'd prefer that. It sells faster when it's vacant, when you're not living in the home.
Yeah, but most people who have a home, they're buying another home, and they have to buy that next home with the proceeds of the home they're in.
Okay.
And so if you don't... but we do have a buy before you sell program. We're able to purchase that next home, only have one payment, right? And so you're not paying 2 mortgages at one time. You're only paying 1 mortgage, and then that home that you're selling that you're currently living in, you've moved out of, and now it's easier to show and it's easier to get more people.
Oh wow,
through.
that's great. And what's that called again?
Buy before you sell.
Buy before you sell, and you can find more info on that at madeformoreliving.com.
Got it.
Madeformoreliving.com. Okay, so explain a little bit more about the condition.
So you just want, so you want to be, the home has to be available to be shown, and then when it is shown, is it clean? Are the dogs put away? Is the dog hair cleaned up? Are there dishes in the sink? Are the showers clean? Are the bathrooms clean? Or do they look like, your whole family came over for Thanksgiving and they just left? Yeah.
Because we heard from someone who was struggling to sell their house, and oftentimes you get feedback from the buyer's realtors, and some of the feedback they had was, well, there was just too many clothes in the closet. Like the closets were just over full. And so that was just a hang up for a lot of people visiting the home. Like they just couldn't get it out of their mind that there was just so much stuff in the house.
So much stuff. And so what we like to say is too, like, you're moving, you're putting the house on the market. You have to pack. Yeah. You're not staying there forever.
Now, right.
So just start the process. Get rid of the non-essentials. If it's summertime, pack up the winter clothes.
Okay, number 3.
And then number 3 is price. So this is the one that sellers don't like to have a conversation around. But oftentimes, if the realtor's doing their job, if the realtor's doing their job marketing, if the homeowner's doing their job keeping the home clean and presentable and available to be shown, then the only other alternative really is price. And so what we like to say is you really have 2 options. One, if your home's not selling at the price you have it currently marketed at, you can either make some improvements to the home to bring it up to maybe what would then demand or have that justify that price. Mm-hmm. That's option 1. Or option 2, you don't have to do anything, and we'll just reduce the price down a little bit. And so those are the 3 main things. So marketing, then the availability and condition of showing, and then the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you always try to make sure that it's priced right from the beginning. And you always say that you should probably be aggressive in the pricing, right?
You cannot. With a good realtor, it's literally impossible. People don't believe me. This has been proven many times, but it is literally impossible to underprice a home. Like we've listed homes for 50%, half of what they're going to sell for, and they sell for at or above market value.
At or above what the homeowner was expecting to get.
Yeah. Record-setting prices in the neighborhoods.
And what's the reasoning behind that?
The reasoning is because if the marketing's working, enough people are seeing it, and it creates some excitement and some energy around the home. And then imagine if you were wanting to write an offer on a home, and the home's been on the market 30 days, and you're the only offer. Like, why is nobody else offering on this home? Is there something about the neighborhood I don't know about? Are the neighbors weird? Right. Like it just creates a certain level of fear.
It's funny. It's similar to, what are those thermoses that are popular right now? The Stanley Cups. Come on. What was it? 2 years ago, you could have got them for $1.25, and now all of a sudden, everybody wants them, so the price skyrockets.
That's actually a good way to sell a house too. Is
put in a whole bunch of Stanley Cups. Comes with a free Stanley Cup.
It comes with a free Stanley Cup. Boom, sold. Yeah. So, but that's why. And you can't underprice a home, but you can't overprice a home, because if a home is overpriced, it's going to sit. Nobody's going to see it. You're going to start doing some price adjustments, and now people are getting why all the other homes are selling. Why is this home not selling? And then when you finally do get an offer, it might be a little bit lower than what you were expecting or hoping for, but you feel pressured, you feel stressed to take that offer because that's the only offer you've gotten in 90 days.
Right.
And so it's just not a pleasant experience. We highly recommend that you price it aggressively because you cannot undersell that home.
Awesome. All right. And again, you can find more of this info at madeformoreliving.com. Johnny Jennings, #1 real estate company in Sacramento, madeformoreliving.com. What are we going to talk about in the next segment?
Yeah. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about the alternative, why your offers aren't getting accepted. A lot of people are stressed. Like, I'm submitting offers on homes and I've tried 4, 5, 7, 10 different times. Why are my offers not getting accepted? And how we're able to then step in and be like, okay, let's fix this. We're going to get your offer accepted.
All right. That's coming up next. All right, real quick, and then we're going to get back to the show. If you're curious what kind of offers you would get on your home, or hey, maybe you want an all-cash offer, no matter what kind of condition your home is in, Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves Real Estate team can help. Just go to tomdaves.com, type in your address, and bam, right away, you're going to get that info. Again, it's tomdaves.com, or give Johnny Jennings a call at 855-TOM-DAVES.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Are you stressed out and just frustrated and wondering why are my offers not getting accepted? I'm a cash buyer. I should be able to get 50% off on a home. Man, have you ever seen those commercials or those ads about people talking about, hey, here I should be able to get so much off on a home because it's just a cash offer. Have you seen that?
You're supposed to get a huge discount because it's a cash offer, but that doesn't mean you're always going to be successful at getting a great deal. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying cash off, like the loans these days are so like you're able to close them so quickly.
Oh, right.
Normally cash was
so they're
beneficial.
Almost similar to cash is what you're saying.
It's basically the same as cash.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's really no benefit to the cash offer unless you waive all contingencies and you waive, like, you don't care about the condition of the home, you don't care about what it's going to appraise for. You just are going to sight unseen buy it cash.
So you have someone, they've got a great financial setup to buy a home. They've been pre-approved, everything is in line and in order, or they are an all-cash buyer from the Bay Area, but still they're not getting their offers accepted and they're pulling their hair out, Johnny, and they can't figure out why, but you have the answers of what the problem is.
We do have the answers, and just so you're clear, or so we're clear, you don't have to be a cash offer to get a good deal on a home or to get your offer accepted. A lot of people are they feel like, hey, I'm getting beat out by Bay Area buyers, by cash offers, both here in California and in other states. Other states don't like the Californians because they're coming in with their cash offers and they're beating everybody else out in the market. But that's what's really happening is there's much more to getting your offer accepted than price.
Yeah.
That's the big misconception. That's the thing that has people feel trapped and just like they're at a loss. Like, I can't afford any more money.
Right.
How do I get my offer accepted?
Yeah.
And so,
because it can be frustrating, because I know a lot of families who went through that and they're just like, they feel hopeless. They feel like they can't compete. Like they're not in a position, almost like you're a college football player and you're playing against a NFL Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you're like
rooting right. It's just like I work for, I have a 9-to-5 blue collar job, and I would like to buy a house for my family, and yet how do I compete with these millionaires that come from the Bay Area? That's how they feel. They feel like it's an unwinnable battle. But you're saying, no, that's not true. There's strategies and there's reasons why your offer's not being accepted.
Correct. And so the ways that we walk through, and we actually have this a PDF, like an ebook type of a thing. If you want to reach out, just go to madeformoreliving.com and we'll send it to you for free. But what you want to do is, the first thing you should be doing with your real estate agent is you should be sitting down and putting together, we call it a buyer battle plan.
Oh,
right?
Nice. I like that.
So then that way okay, what to expect, what we have to do, and that way the agent knows what it is you're looking for in a home. So that way when the right property pops up, you guys are the first ones in the door and you're the first ones writing the offers. And so some strategies that we employ to get our offers accepted is, first and foremost, like this is why working with a great agent is totally different than working with your friend or your family member who's been licensed forever but does one deal a year or 6 deals a year. 12 deals a year is not a lot. We work with people who, we're closing, like just this week alone, we sold, I think it was 7 homes, and we put 4 more in escrow just this week. And so so the reason why I'm saying this is who you work with matters, because that person is going to have a reputation. And that reputation carries an incalculable amount of monetary value when you're going out there and you're writing offers.
Why is that?
Because if you're representing a buyer, if you're working with a buyer's agent, that buyer's agent is going to have to negotiate on your behalf with the seller's agent, with the listing agent. And depending on that buyer's agent's reputation for professionalism, for getting the deal done, for adhering to contract deadlines and timelines, that's going to influence the listing agent's decision about whose offer they're going to pick. So if, let's say, there's only a $15,000 range between the highest and lowest offer across 5 offers, but there's an agent that is known to be a professional and to get things done and to have bright, clean offers and to just their clients close, like they have a strong pre-approval letter, they're already underwritten,
right?
Like that is a more for sure thing for that seller's client than the buyer's agent who is new, who wrote a sloppy offer, who nobody knows, and they've closed 1 deal. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So work with someone that's been successful, that has a reputation, that has a lot of connections with other realtors.
Correct.
And has a reputation of closing fast. Because absolutely, if you're selling your home, you want to work with people who are going to, the offers are going to go through. The financing is going to go through without any hiccups. And so when you have that reputation, when you have that network like you guys have at Made for More Living,
absolutely,
then you're able. They want to work with you. They want to sell their home to you guys.
They want to, because sellers, same as buyers, what they want more than anything is certainty. That's the number one thing they're seeking.
Yes,
is they want to know, if I begin this process with this person, is it going to go through? Will I get as much money as they're saying they're going to pay me? Are there going to be any surprises? Can they really afford the loan? They want the certainty. And the best conduit for that certainty is going to be your agent. And so that's why you really need to work with somebody who's experienced. And so it doesn't matter. Like, this is an extreme example, but it's 100% true. Valerie's offer, my wife, she's a real estate broker on the team. She got her offer accepted, and it was $60,000 less. $60,000 less than the highest offer on the table. And you're thinking, well, why would they accept her offer? 1, she's well known in the community. 2, her buyer was very well approved. And 3, they didn't think the home would appraise for that much money. So the inexperienced agent just threw out an offer and kept the appraisal contingency in there and said, hey, you know what, it won't appraise, so then we'll renegotiate them down to a more realistic price. Valerie's client came in, waived the appraisal contingency. Right. This is and
that's experience. This is strategies that you have to know.
These are strategies you have to know, and a good listing agent is going to recognize that as well.
Right.
And if they're not a good listing agent, a good buyer's agent is going to get on the phone and communicate that. Say, hey, here's our offer, here's why it's structured, here's why it's a benefit to your client.
Right.
They're not going to leave anything up to chance.
So if you're putting in those offers and you feel like it's the highest offer and you get frustrated, like, oh my goodness, how come they didn't accept our offer? Our offer was the highest. Maybe it's who you're working with. Maybe they don't understand fully the whole scope of the transaction, of the process of what's going on. And you're left hanging there because you're not working with the right people.
Yep.
And they're obviously not telling you everything you need to know. And so that's why you got to work with Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Living, right?
Absolutely. And so if your offers aren't getting accepted, we can help with that.
Right.
Now if you're in a contractual agreement with an agent, we can't help you. But if you haven't signed anything, if you're not locked in, or if you're just beginning the process, we're happy to help you with that. The other thing that you can do is look at the other components of the contract, because it's not all about price. Look at the timelines. Like, does the seller want a long escrow? Do they want a fast escrow? How fast can you close it if they want a fast escrow? Are you working with a lender? Like, our lenders can close these things in 8, 9, 10 days. And now that seller has the certainty, they have the cash in hand, but now they have a rent back for 30 days. So they still have the flexibility to get out of the home without being rushed. And so there's the price, there's the timelines, there's the agent, and there's also the contingencies. How long have those contingencies been written for? Typical contingencies include appraisal, loan, and inspection of the property. And so appraisal and loan are two different things. One, are they qualified for the loan? We were recently doing a deal with Barry. You know Barry.
Sure.
Broker Barry.
Barry Mathis?
Barry Mathis, yeah. He was recently doing a deal, and the guy quit his job the day the loan was the house was supposed to close. So when the lender called to do the employment verification before wiring the funds, they're like, that person doesn't work here anymore. You know? And so there's all these different aspects of the transaction. So you really just want to make sure that who you're working with understands the different components, so that way you're not also overpaying for a home. Because a lot of people will just throw money at it, and then they end up buying the house, and they overpaid for the house. Now they're stuck, but they got the house, but they could have paid less.
Right.
Yeah. So those are some different strategies that we employ to help make sure our clients' offers are getting accepted. Like, people have come to us and they've been unsuccessful, 3, 4, 5 times, and they come to us and we're like, okay, sit down, go through our buyer plan, our buyer battle plan, and then we're going to move forward with certainty and speed, and then we're able to get their offer accepted.
So that's some hope. That's an encouragement for families that are listening that feel like, I just can't compete. It's just not right. It's not the right time for us to buy a home in California because there's so much competition from millionaires from the Bay Area, all these all cash buyers, and I can't compete. That's, maybe you've heard that in the news. Maybe you've heard that on social media, but Johnny Jennings, Made for More Living, is here to say that's not true. There is hope.
There is hope. There is a solution.
Yeah. You just have to work with the right people and who have the right information and the right strategies.
Exactly.
Right.
And then that way you don't have to move to Texas.
Right.
You can stay local.
You know what? That's interesting. We're going to talk about that. Is it worthwhile to move to Texas? Because a lot of people, they're thinking, I just can't afford to live in California anymore. I don't like the financial situation. You have done some research, right? And you've compared numbers to numbers, apples to apples, and we're going to find out the truth. Is it financially worthwhile to move to Texas? Right? That's next. All right, real quick, and then we're going to get back to the show. If you're curious what kind of offers you would get on your home, or hey, maybe you want an all-cash offer, no matter what kind of condition your home is in, Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves Real Estate team can help. Just go to tomdaves.com, type in your address, and bam, right away, you're going to get that info. Again, it's tomdaves.com, or give Johnny Jennings a call at 855-TOM-DAVES.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
I am honestly, genuinely 100% confused, Matt. Like, I do not understand why.
I thought that was you every day.
Well, it is. That's why I have
today
Valerie.
Specifically,
That's why I have a Valerie. That's why I have a wife. But I'm genuinely, like, I just do not understand why people want to leave California. Like, it is so, like, I can give you plenty of reasons.
Okay,
so let's go.
So
through
let's
that.
start that off. This is according to friends and family members, some who have moved to places like Texas. One, they say the politics. They don't agree with the more liberal politics in California. They want to move to more of a, what do you call it, like a red state.
So, like, what do they mean by politics?
They mean by the type of legislation that comes out of our state capital.
So the state, but are they frustrated with like this? A lot of what's happening in schools,
like some of the issues with small businesses. They don't like how California seems to be more oppressive to small business owners. And I don't know that for a fact because I'm not a small business owner. Yeah. This is just some of the rumors that we hear. So there's that aspect of it. They don't like the politics, so they want to move to a more red state where they agree a little. Their views and values align more with a more conservative governor, legislation, stuff like that. And then some people say it's more financially beneficial for them to live in a state like Texas because they have a friendlier tax structure in Texas, state taxes. And so people here in California, they want to sell their house and move because they feel like we're overtaxed. There's always a new tax on everything, gas prices.
At what point are you not overtaxed?
Right. Well, you explain to me. You've done the research.
I have done the research.
You're saying bottom line is that it is not or it is marginally, very thin, marginally beneficial financially to move to Texas.
Well, let's take it one by one.
Let's do it.
Politically, wherever you are in the United States, you got the same president. Wherever you are, you have the same federal government. And so if you're upset with the state stuff, I get that. But as far as schooling goes, a lot of it's controlled at the federal level. So as far as vaccines go, a lot of that's controlled at a level higher than the state. So whether you're moving to a red state, blue state, purple state, like it's going to be the same. You got the same government regardless. Okay. Then as far as taxes go, I just checked this out before we came on the air. If you go to Wallet Hub, just Google Wallet Hub and search like tax comparisons between states. It'll show you income comparisons. So there's income tax, there's property tax, and then there's an overall tax burden on the individual ranked by state. And so if you take out, Texas or Nevada or other states may have lower income taxes, but they have higher taxes in other brackets. And so for
instance, like property tax is different in Texas than it's
heavier
in California.
Yeah. And so
you're going to pay more in that.
So you're going to pay more in property taxes, but you're paying less in income tax. And so according to Wallet Hub, overall in the overall ranking, California was the 5th worst state in the union in terms of overall taxes. Texas was down like the 30s somewhere overall. But the spread, and you're thinking, Johnny, what are you talking about? That's a huge difference in terms of numbers. But the overall spread, the difference between 5th and whatever Texas was 2.84% in your overall tax burden. 2.84%. So if you're making $100,000 a year, round it up, that's an extra $3,000 a year. Your tax burden is in California versus Texas. To me, that is not worth losing the weather. That is not worth leaving family and friendships and relationships. That is not worth the stress of wondering if there's something better out there. Like, have you ever been to Texas in the summertime?
Yeah, I've been to Texas. Yeah, I mean,
did you like it?
I was only there for about a week. We were north of Dallas. My brother-in-law lives there now. He has some property, and there's a lot of mosquitoes. There's a lot of bigger bugs. There's humidity and stuff. But I mean, hello, have you been to the summer in California? It's deathly hot when we get into the triple digits.
It is.
So it is a dry heat. Yeah, we'll go there. It's a dry heat. But I mean, everybody prefers something different. But I wanted to mention something else that people say is a benefit to Texas. If they're willing to sell their home here in Northern California and move to Texas, many of them like that they're going to get more property. They're going to have more land in the home that they buy. And you have a very passionate opinion about that.
Well, hey, I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm just here to share what I've seen when people have made those decisions. And so if you grew up as a child in suburbia and you bought a house in suburbia, and now you're going to relocate across the country to a place that you've visited maybe a handful of times and buy 20 acres, you are in for a shock. Because who's going to manage those 20 acres? Like, the grass has to get mowed. The weeds have to be pulled. There's a lot of maintenance on that property. What I deal with regularly with people in rural areas here locally is they are wanting to downsize. They want to get rid of the 5 acres, the 20 acres, the 1 acre, and they want something simple to manage. They want a single level home. So that way, as they enter into their senior years, the property's more easy to maintain. And so a lot of people are selling in California, selling their homes for a lot of money, buying a lot of land, and then they've just marginally improved their tax situation, and if they've improved it at all, and now they have a new headache, a new hobby, where they get to deal with the bugs and the grass.
It's true. And I will speak of it from not my personal experience, but my brother-in-law. So they wanted to move they've lived in Dixon, and he is a military vet. He worked at Travis for a while. But they sold their home in Dixon because they didn't like the politics in California. They didn't like the education system here. And they wanted to move to Texas to experience a little bit more freedom and a more like-minded ideology and values. So, they wanted to evacuate California because they didn't like the things that stress them out here. And those are some of the things, like the politics and yada, yada, yada. The taxes and stuff like that, even the gas prices. So they said, hey, we want to get rid of all of that. We're tired of dealing with all of those frustrations. Mm-hmm. So they went and bought 20 acres. Speak of the devil, 20 acres in a very rural area in Texas.
Were they retired, or what were they doing?
No, they're not retired. He still works. He's still in the. Well, he is no longer in the military, but he got transferred to that area.
Okay.
So, but he no longer works for the military. He's basically a truck driver, and they bought 20 acres. I think they got like 5 or 6 cows, a couple of pigs. And this is in a very rural area north of Dallas, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's not a convenience store for like 5 miles.
Yeah. They swung hard the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, they no longer deal with the stresses that many of us may feel we're dealing with here in California, but the stress has kind of just changed. Yep. So they're still dealing one of their kids had a terrible accident on the property, and it was forever for the ambulance to get there. Yep. So that was stressful, and they're still dealing with that stress. There's the stress of, like you said earlier, managing that property. It can be overwhelming at times, managing a property that, like you said, if you've never done it before, it's brand new. You think it's going to be fun, but oh my gosh, it's a lot of work, and it's expensive, especially if you have animals. It can be very expensive.
Yep.
Inflation is high in many areas, including trying to have a ranch or send any farmland. So taking care of a property. So yes, they've gotten rid of those California stresses, but they've taken on new stresses that they didn't used to have.
And what I want to share, like if you're hearing this and you're thinking Johnny's just so pro California, like and anti everything else, I want you to hear like my heart of like concern and sadness for people that make these moves, because once you leave California, especially if you're in a retirement situation, it's very hard to go back.
You mean once you leave California, it's hard to come back?
It's hard to come back. If you decide, hey, you know
why
what?
Is that?
Because you've spent the money. Like you bought this beautiful house in Texas, and now you've spent all this money maintaining it. The property value may have gone up, but now you're going to buy back into California.
It's going to be more expensive.
It's going to be more expensive to buy back in, and so now you're trapped in this situation. And so for your family, I know exactly how that story is going to end.
Well, no, I don't think they're going to come back. They're going to still deal with it. But
they're going to deal with it. But what's going to happen is, and this is just a guess, right? This is me looking at my crystal ball. So it's been known to have a few cracks here and there. But what typically happens is people get so frustrated, they feel like they're out of control. They move out of California to a area where they believe that they'll have more control. But then they realize, hey, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. This is a whole lot more work. There are certain things that our family needs, whether it's schooling, whether it's healthcare, whether it's just sport events. Like now they have to travel everywhere to do that stuff. And that you're paying gas, right? You're paying Texas gas prices, but you're still buying gas. And then they realize, okay, you know what? Let's move a little closer to the city. And now you end up in more of like a medium between where you were in suburbia California and suburbia Texas, because it's a whole nother job, like living in that rural area. Yeah. So, anyways, look,
but that doesn't mean that, hey, if you are especially at the age of retirement and you're looking for now your forever home and you want to just retire, and maybe you will have the money to hire ranch managers
or if you're used to it, if you've done it before.
Exactly.
Like
maybe you live in Loomis or Auburn and you want that kind of lifestyle.
if you're accustomed to it, if it's not new to you and you're just moving what you have to another state, then that to me, I've seen people have more success with that. But if you've been like, you've had your 10,000 square foot lot and your grass backyard with a pool, and now you're moving out into the middle of the woods with a bunch of land, that's hard. But
I think maybe you might be thinking of more of younger families, that have to uproot their families. But if you're in your twilight years and you're older, and absolutely, you don't have the energy to take care of multiple acres of property, but maybe you're ready to retire and you want to have a sunset view in Texas, then absolutely, you'd be absolutely happy to help them get the most maximum dollar for their home here in California, so that they can get something great in Texas.
So we're absolutely, we're here. We're not here to tell you what to do. I'm just sharing that, people oftentimes feel trapped in their situation and they think the grass is greener somewhere else. And I'm just trying to be maybe a voice that isn't commonly heard, where it's like, okay, the grass isn't necessarily greener over there.
Right.
You're not missing out. Like a lot of people, younger people, feel like, hey, if I don't own a home by the time I'm 23, I'm behind the 8 ball. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm 30 and I haven't bought a house. Like, am I ever going to be able to retire? Am I ever going to be able to make money? Like, there's all these expectations that society places on people. Some of them for good. Some of them maybe they're unnecessary. And so that desire to leave the state that a lot of people of like certain political or religious affiliations, like there's a lot of reasons to stay too. It's not always, the grass isn't always as green as they make it out to be.
Right.
Again, 3% tax difference.
Right.
3%. And the difference between California and the most tax favorable state, Alaska, is a difference of 5.47%. So basically 5.5%. So we're not talking like, for the average person, a huge like financial windfall from moving from one state to another.
Okay, cool.
So,
but still, if they're set on moving to Texas and they live in Rockland and they want to move to Texas, you're still willing to help them out.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Okay. We do that that's honestly who we help more than anybody else. There's a lot of people looking to leave.
You don't try to talk them out of it.
No. But if they ask me like, hey, how would you recommend I plan this? We have certain steps. So if you're thinking about moving out of state, absolutely, like we can help you with that without a doubt. We have these steps, and so just reach out to us. Go to madeformoreliving.com, and we will help you make a smooth move to Texas, to Idaho, to Florida, to North Carolina, to South Carolina, to wherever you want. And if you want to stay in California, we can help you with that too.
Yeah, just go to madeformoreliving.com.